Hello, good morning, children. This is Samir Ramzan Beg. Now I'm going to teach you 8th class English. Already you have come to learn first unit A lesson and some other grammar exercises you have come to learn. Now I'm going to teach you B reading, that it is My Mother. It is a poem. My Mother is a poem written by Rabindranath Tagore. You know very well that Rabindranath Tagore, he was a great Indian English poet and a versatile artist. In many fields he has some knowledge, and he was a good writer also, dramatist also. And his poems are collected as Geetanjali, and that Geetanjali, it is a book which is awarded a Nobel Prize for him. That it is Geetanjali is nothing but the Song of Offerings, well-known book it is. So well-noted book. Many students and people all over the world, and those are enthusiastic book reading, they know well about Geetanjali. So in India, he became very famous and well-known English writer. Next, you see that let me introduce one information. He was also called Vishwakavi or Gurudev. Rabindranath Tagore was also called Vishwakavi or Gurudev, and he was founder of Shantiniketan, that it is a school, an experimental school it was. In those days he started Shantiniketan, an experimental school that it is. And now let me come to this poem, My Mother. It has 3 stanzas, children. You can see in the book there, My Mother poem. First stanza, second stanza and third stanza. 3 stanzas given there. You children, you have to come to know that stanza wise what are the characters, what are the things are used, and poet what is going to say that. And simply I'm coming background of this poem. That poet, he was he remembers, and that he was reminding or recollecting whatever you think that his infant days when he was a small baby. In the first stanza of this poem, poet is going to tell about his very infant stage, and that time mother how she comes, and that baby infant how he knows the nearby mother movement, how he knows. This is going to describe and in this first stanza. And the second stanza, when you come to second stanza, some other characters are there. You have to find out that characters, and the last stanza, some conclusion is given there. So how he loves his mother, and that mother, what she was doing when he was in the stage of infant, very small baby. Then we are going to see that. Let me read out that poem, the first stanza. I cannot remember my mother, only sometime in the midst of my play. A tune seems to hover over my playthings, the tune of some song that she used to hum while rocking my cradle. This is the first stanza, and let me come to the second stanza also. I cannot remember my mother, but when in the early autumn morning the smell of the shively flowers floats in the air, the scent of the morning service in the temple comes to me as the scent of my mother. And come to the third stanza. I cannot remember my mother, only when from my bedroom window I send my eyes into the blue of the distant sky. I feel that the stillness of my mother's gaze on my face has spread all over the sky. These are the 3 stanzas. Now let me come back the stanza wise to understand. So what do you understand in the first stanza? The first stanza, it tells you that poet, he cannot remember that his mother. And in every stanza, line begins with I cannot remember my mother. But he is, we have to think he is in imagination, and he thinks about his mother. So first stanza, you see that I cannot remember my mother, only sometime in the midst of my play. So as an infant, very small baby, when he was in the cradle, that midst of my play, a tune seems to hover over my playthings, and the tune of some song that she used to hum while rocking my cradle. So generally we know that when the infant babies are in the cradle, mother comes and she rocks the cradle with the songs, humming, that it is used here to hum while rocking his cradle. So generally we see that the children, those are in the cradle, mother comes when the baby was crying, middle of that playing of that baby in the cradle, mother comes and when she makes the movement of that cradle with that slowly that baby or infant baby, she would forget all crying and some other things. Second stanza, you see that I cannot remember my mother, but when in the early autumn morning season, it is autumn season, when in the early autumn morning the smell of the shively flowers floats in the air. So he cannot remember, but one that autumn season, his mother early morning time, she goes to that, she brings that shively flowers which floats in the air. That smell comes through the air, and it is the scent of a morning service. Service means here mother takes the flowers and she offers it to the God. So that smell comes to the little boy. That the scent of the morning service in the temple comes to me. That scent, that perfume, that smell comes to the boy, little boy. That it comes from the temple also, and it is the scent of my mother. So he recognizes, he identifies his mother as the smell comes. Then he thinks my mother is near about me. The boy understands that thing. So by smelling of the flowers and other scent, the boy and the child understands his mother is near to him. This is the second stanza. Now let me come to the third stanza. You see that I cannot remember my mother. Only when from my bedroom window I send my eyes into the blue of the distant sky. Now in the third stanza, you can understand that that the poet, he grows, he becomes a grown person, and he goes and stands beside the window. He sees outside of the through the window there. Then through the bedroom window, he sees out the sky. And I send my eyes, he sends his eyes into the blue of the distant sky. So that means he could see through the window out of the sky. And then I feel that the stillness of my mother's gaze. Stillness means motionless, not having the movement, without moving, without moving. That he sees his mother. That mother gaze. Gaze means without moving. She looks at him only, staring like that. Meaning it gives. Mother's gaze on my face has spread all over the sky. So mother's face, it looks all over the sky. This is the beautiful poem written by Rabindranath Tagore. I repeat this, all of you see that once again, just for sound of these lines and words. I cannot remember my mother, only sometime in the midst of my play, a tune seems to hover over my playthings, the tune of some song that she used to hum while rocking my cradle. I cannot remember my mother, but when in the early autumn morning the smell of the shively flowers floats in the air, the scent of the morning service in the temple comes to me as the scent of my mother. Last stanza. I cannot remember my mother, only when from my bedroom window I send my eyes into the blue of the distant sky. I feel that the stillness of my mother's gaze on my face has spread all over the sky. And a few words I am going to give you. However, remain in the air. Shively flowers, these are small white or orange flowers that bloom in autumn season. Scent, perfume, or a good smell. This is a poem. In this video, children, you see that this is a small poem. That is the theme. You can read and understand that. Children, now let me come to C reading from the first unit only. That it is a letter to a friend. So this is the C lesson given to you as a personal letter given. Personal letter is writing letter to friends, relatives. These are called personal letters. Not only friends, relatives, parents, and our family members. For that purpose, we write letters. These are called for personal letters. So before going to read out this letter, I like to say a few words. These are this personal letter. Generally, every letter it would have a heading that it is a place and a date ending with full stop. After the place, comma is used, and then in personal letter to whom we are going to write the letter, that it is called here salutation. Dear Suresh, it is given to you. And next, some body of the letter will be given. This is not the body of the letter, content of the letter it is not. Just I have written some other meanings of this lesson. But after the body of the letter, that means content matter, we write why we are writing the letter and what is the purpose of writing letter. That information we give in body of the letter. Generally, it would be completed one or two or three paragraphs according to the question. Next, you see that this is your loving friend. This is a subscription, it is called here. And next, superscription will be given that signature, letter superscription, to address comes here. In personal letter, to address comes opposite to this subscription. Here comes to address. That it will be clearly we have to write there. This is only for in personal letter. Now let me come to this letter. Who is writing letter? Ramesh is writing the letter to his friend Suresh. Here he is going to just discussing manner he is writing what the past life, what was their life, past life, now present, how busy they are. These situations he is going to give out in this letter. Let me see that. And one more thing here, see that this is called heading, comma, date, ending with a full stop. This is the very common to follow these steps. Or if all of you be ready, this letter you see then, a letter to your friend. I'm going to read out. Start. Dear Suresh, this is Ramesh. I apologize for not meeting you during your visit to Hyderabad last week. Apologize means asking excuse and sorry for not visiting that. Unfortunately, I had a meeting in my office. I remember how we enjoyed our childhood days in Manikunda village. Every day we played together in our garden. Our family was very big. There were 12 members in our family. I remember how we played in the moonlight. Our garden, our grandma used to give us fruits and biscuits. Our grandpa used to tell us fairy tales about the princes, warriors, and the village boys. This is an introduction of the letter. In the first paragraph of his letter, what he is saying that he is recollecting the past days and what were that days, how they enjoyed in Manikunda village. One village name is mentioned, Manikunda village, how they played together in the garden, and in their village how they enjoyed, and that family members, their family members were 12 members is going to mention there, and his grandma used to give them some biscuits and fruits. Next, grandpa, he used to tell tales, fairy tales about princess, warriors, and the village boys. This is the introduction of the paragraph. Now let me come to the second paragraph. Now I am working at Microsoft, a software company, Hyderabad. As a computer programmer, I am married and we have a child. My wife works at Dell, Hyderabad as a system analyst. Dell is a company, you know it well. My wife works at Dell, Hyderabad as a system analyst. You know, city life is quite busy. Quite busy means complete, fully busy. We start in the morning, leave our child at the baby care center, and come back in the evening with faded faces. Faded faces means with dull faces. They come back. We hardly find time to sit together. How disgusting. We work with the computers, think like computers, and live like computers. We have forgotten our family. This is the present situation of this Ramesh and his family. His wife also works in the company Dell in Hyderabad only, and she is a program analyst. He is also employee of at Microsoft, and both they do not get any time to even to sit together, and they send their child and to that what you call that child care center. This is the situation of these people. and by evening they would become very dull. And next you see that you say that how disgusting. Disgust means a feeling of unpleasant. Simply to understand, its meaning is a feeling of unpleasant. Let me come to the next paragraph. I remember how we played gilli danda. This is a Telugu word and Hindi word also, gilli danda. Hide and seek and kabaddi. We went for swimming in our local tank every Sunday. Here we live in an apartment where there is no room to play. Our flat is our world, just like a well for a frog, and the world remains unheeded. Unheeded meaning I've given you notice, but disregarded. Disregarded. Though we know that we sometimes neglect and reckless manner, that is disregarded manner. So that how unheeded, so their life it became just like a frog in the well. He compared this is life here. That means they do not know what is going on out of their room, out of their house, out of their flat. So just like a well, they are living. Frogs live in the well. They think this is only the biggest world. So that this life, their life also like that only. Next you see that how happy we were in our school. He is coming back to his school life. And I remember how Padmanabhaya sir, our class teacher, appreciated us when we got the first prize in district science fair. I remember how we went on a picnic to Koil Sagar, and there we went boating. Our tour to Srishalam was memorable, and still I remember the green hills full of trees that almost touched the sky. I remember the roaring of the Krishna river at the dam. There is nothing here. I wonder at my child's silence. He always sits in front of the computer and plays games, never caring for anyone. This is the present busy life of Ramesh, and he recollects the tour of Sri Shalam, picnic of Koil Sagar, and some other things here. But he compares his life to his child who sits silently. That is the situation. Now you see, I remember the happy moments when our uncle visited and I remember when our uncle visited us, he brought toys and fruits for us. Our aunt brought me a new dress for Dasara. How we enjoyed Deepavali. Still I hear the sound of crackers. I can see the rockets flying into the sky, making the night full of light. Where are those days? My child doesn't know his uncle or aunt. For him, uncle and neighbors are the same. This is the present situation. Children, they do not know their own relatives and blood relation people and the neighbor people also, what relation they have. They do not know present generation people. Sometimes I think of our childhood days. I think of grandparents, uncles, brothers, sisters. We missed them. We missed the joy of the family. We missed their company. We are missing many things in this busy life. So they are missing their busy life here. Suresh, I don't know where those gardens have gone, those fairy tales, those fruits, those words of love and of affection. We have lost our real life in this unreal world. This is a good statement. We have lost, they have lost their real life in their unreal world. That world is unreal world. They lost their real life. Anyhow, I am happy that I have found a time to write to you. Please come to me. Let us remember our childhood days of joy. Next, he concluded his as your loving friend. So this is a style of conclusion of the end of the letter. And we can also write like this, yours lovingly. Then we do not write a friend or some other. Simply here concluded your loving friend or Ramesh. This is the letter. And personal letter we can write to address left side of that page opposite to this subscription. Is it okay? So this is the letter, and you have understood that something of the life of that past and few years ago and the present life of that employees. Those are very busy in the life. Okay, let me come to the next class in the next video.